Welcome back, you guys. I'm EFC. This is Blue Line CV, and today I'm bringing back another news daily video. Now, I'm going to talk about three stories. I'm going to talk about HAKIMI, I'm going to talk about COUTINHO, and I'm going to be talking about the contract extensions for players like Giroud and Rudiger as well. But before I get into things, you guys, I got to be brutally honest. I'm just becoming so disillusioned. Of course, you might be wondering, especially this season, I've taken so many breaks throughout the month, but I don't know, you guys, I'm just starting to become a bit depressed, a bit disillusioned. When you realize what the key is to really grow on YouTube, it's a bit disappointing because a lot of it comes down to speeds. A lot of it comes down to, I think probably speeds, and I think speeds just overtakes quality. It overtakes work rate, it overtakes the truth. And I just feel like after doing this for a bit now, it's like a recycled pattern with these stories, with the community, with how people respond to each other. It's just the same thing regurgitated every single time, and I just don't understand why. I'm sorry, I can't really just talk about stories like COUTINHO and HAKIMI because there's no truth to them, and that's the reality. There's none. We're not trying to sign COUTINHO, but not trying to sign HAKIMI. And I know I can talk about these stories, but then I would just feel bad knowing that I'm just talking out my arse just to get a bit of cash. And the reality is right now, of course, with this whole pandemic situation, of course, times are hard for every single content creator. The CPM's gone down by a ton, by an absolute ton. It's looking peak. Of course, I'm not going to use that as an excuse. It's time to experiment, time to evolve, etc., etc. But, you just see certain patterns about what actually leads to success on YouTube. It is kind of why is the algorithm how it is? I don't understand. It is disappointing, but I don't know, you guys. For me, my main issue is this whole COUTINHO Rudiger story, because it seems like everyone's really just eating it up, disregarding the facts, disregarding the cons against both signings, disregarding the evidence saying that it's not going to happen. And I feel like it's this kind of repeated pattern that happens all the time. I say something, then I just get abused for it because I don't know why. And it's just it happens every single time, And for me, I'm the type of guy where repetition, drags me down. I just can't handle it. I can't cope. It just completely frazzles my entire mind. And when I just keep having to do the same things all the time, real talk, it takes a toll. But you guys, you know what? I've told myself when I was doing YouTube, I'm not here to be doing no clickbait bullshit. I'm not here to be trying to just run any stupid story just to get as much money as possible, because there's already enough pricks like that in the world that are already running that shit. And how does that really benefit anyone? I did YouTube because I wanted to express myself. I wanted to talk about the truth, because a lot of times in football discussion becomes unnecessarily tribalistic. It becomes about fallacies. It's like you're fighting against people's egos. You can't even just debate and have just nuanced conversations. It just it takes a toll after a while. And I'm starting to notice a lot of this stuff came after the COUTINHO HAKIMI reports. I'm here to tell you guys straight, with HAKIMI. And I'm going to say it straight. You guys, cast your minds back to the article written by The Athletic, where they broke down how transfers work. I'm going to do a video on that sometime this week, because I think that, there was so much good information in that. I think more people should understand just, how these deals work, how transfer season works, how this shit runs. And in that article, it spoke about a player that the club had been monitoring for a while. However, due to the emergence of a young player that's made a name for himself this season, Lampard and co have decided against signing the player. Now, at the time, before I found out what the answer is, I was thinking, who could it be? Could it be potentially like Billy Gilmore and Camavinga from Rennes? Because at the time, I've heard that we have been obviously scouting Camavinga from Rennes. Even though it's slow news day, I guess it's not fully slow enough before they start bringing back all the old reports and all the old stories. And with Billy Gilmore's emergence, I was thinking, okay, does this mean that we're not going to look into Camavinga anymore? I was thinking about other players. I was thinking about guys like your Hudson-Odois. I was thinking about Mason Mount. I was thinking about all the young players, until I found out the answer in the end. And actually, the player that we're not going to sign anymore is HAKIMI, and that's because of Reece James. Now, that's the reality. This is an old story that's been brought up for absolutely no reason by journalists who, of course, as I'm trying to tell you, this whole industry, people making money online, obviously CPM's down. You know, you need to hustle, you need to grind. I get it, but you know, surely there has to be like some morals behind it. You know, why just regurgitate false information for what? I thought the whole point of doing this is to, you know, you got a passion for football, you got a passion for like interacting with people as well, you know. And we're not even looking at Hakimi because of Reece James. So the fact that this is a thing that's still being regurgitated online everywhere is just frustrating. It really is frustrating, you guys. I mean, that's the reality. Reece James means that Hakimi ain't going to be signed. So that story should be put in the dust. Another story that needs to be put in the dust is Coutinho, because again, this is just his agent just pandering. You know, the reality is Leicester City are the only one really looking at Coutinho, and you know, you can't even have just like reasonable debates without people just getting so tribalistic and taking everything negative, like I'm attacking their personality or whatever. It's ridiculous, because I mean, think about it. Coutinho has gone to two better teams at the time in Barcelona and Bayern Munich, and he hasn't really found his name in the team. He hasn't really produced the goods, and both clubs don't want him. We're at a point right now where Barca wanted over 100 million for Coutinho, and now they're reduced it all the way to 65 mil, hoping that a Premier League team is gonna just act stupid and put the money in to sign him. And it just confuses me why everyone is so up for this Coutinho signing, and how everyone is collectively saying that we should forget Sancho because of money and how much he costs. And this is like the contradictions that I just can't understand, because I remember back when Antonio Conte won us the league, you know, we went into the next season super hopeful. We were thinking of guys like Alexandro, we were thinking of guys like Sanchez, big names, big contracts. I mean, at the time, Sanchez would have cost around 400k, and everyone was down for that. Now, I don't understand why, you know, when we finally realized that a player in Sancho, who most likely will be one of the leading elite players of his generation, costs this much money and demands wages like this. Well, it seems like all the contradictions are coming out, because I thought it was about the ambition, you know? And it seems like maybe the ambition is starting to slowly fade away, because now people are acting like spending the money for a player in Sancho isn't worth it, and instead we should be spending ridiculous money for a lone player in Coutinho who hasn't made this step up to a higher level. You know what I mean? But we should affect the progression of our young players, because Coutinho, what, a loan signing? We've got Ziyech, we've got Mason, Ruben's going to be fit now, you know, Hudson's and Pulisic, these are young guys who are only going to get better. And it feels like it's this like construct that no one really understands. You know, they're young, they're going to get better. We've seen every other club, young players prosper this season. Look at Everton with Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin. You know, a season ago, 2 seasons ago, everyone said, move away from these players, what are you talking about? Now, because they've developed over the years, because they were young, they've finally become really good, and now they're like the most popular players that people want. I just don't understand why we just don't really learn from anything, you know? Like, I'm not someone that's going to repeat the same stories, the same points. I try to bring a unique aspect to every single video. I'm not going to regurgitate the same nonsense. So honestly, this is the reality in regards to Coutinho and Hakimi. These players won't be signing. In regards to Coutinho, as I've said, you will only see him if he is a last resort. A last resort. So on that note, you guys, I do want to move on to the other stories, and that's in regards to Rudiger and Giroud, because both players look like they are going to be signing new contracts. And you might be thinking, Nee, what does this mean? I mean, does this mean that this is going to affect what we do in the window? Has the coronavirus affected how the transfer window is going to play out, and the club have to, you know, keep on players that they don't really want? Who knows? If you're asking me, as we've seen multiple times throughout the seasons, you know, this is purely a business decision, because we just want to keep the value of these players really high. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, Giroud, you know, his contract's nearly over. With this whole coronavirus situation, why just let him go for free? You know, we can profit off the player, because we know all the interest from clubs in Italy, France, and everywhere for the player. So he will get a new contract extension, hopefully he signs, and that way we can at least command some money. So we can use that money and put it in to new transfers and new players, because that's how we do business. Same thing for Rudiger. Surprise, surprise. Sky report that both Dortmund and Bayern Munich are actually looking into the player as well. So if that's the case, if they're showing strong interest, then make his value higher. But I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. It's purely subjective when it comes to my points on Rudiger, and that's because who knows? Who knows if Zuma or even a Tomori was the ones to go, and maybe this is the reason why Rudiger is signing a contract like this. I mean, that could be a reason. I'm not saying that that's false, and I'm just trying to think of the best hypothetical, logical reasons that for why these things happen. We do know already that Lampard maybe isn't the biggest fan of Rudiger, not in the sense that he doesn't rate him and he's bad, because for me, I don't know why when we look at players, you're either good or you're bad. There's like no in between. Like, no players are like maybe like a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10. It's like if you're not the best, then you're not good enough. I don't really understand that. But if clubs in Germany are interested in Rudy, then let's not make it too easy for him to leave. Let's give him a contract that will keep the value high for the player, so that way, we are always going to be in control. I think that's one thing that we should have learned by now from so many, stories over the years with how Marina conducts business, etc., etc. I think even how we signed Sai was a prime example of, how we like to do business at this club. If you think about it too, Giroud, why would he want to stay? Because he knows that he won't play again next season. I mean, the reason why he did the most to try and leave, and the reason why Lampard didn't even play him, was because Giroud wanted to leave to boost his opportunities to play for France in the Euros. For him, he's got a lifesaver in that sense, that the Euros is going to be postponed to next year. So I just don't see Giroud sacrificing another season. And in Rudiger's case, I just don't think that the player is someone that's going to be here long term. I think that again, if you sell the player on, you're going to be commanding a decent fee, especially when we have younger defenders who I think will have a much higher potential than Rudiger, because Rudiger's in his prime years. He's 27, 28. This isn't a 22-year-old anymore. And I've always felt, just watching the play, even though he has amazing qualities and tendencies, does he have that world-class consistency that I used to see from so many amazing defenders and guys like your Terrys, your Cavalios, your Alexes, your David Luizes. And yeah, I know people don't like the guy, whatever, but we've been blessed to have so much top quality defenders. So maybe this is why, my standards are maybe unfair because they're too high, but I can't help it because, I know how this club was like when they were reaching the highest heights, when we were absolutely on the top. And I think we can get there. And I think to get there, signing your loan players and not your Jovic's and your Coutinho's, players that don't even suit how we play, players that have shown when they've signed for bigger teams that they've done nothing. Why do we want cast-offs? This is that whole contradiction with ambition, philosophy. Everyone's written off Sancho because he costs too much money. But, to be the best, to sign the best players, that's how you play the game. Because your Real Madrids are going to do that. Your Barcelonas are going to do that. Your Man Uniteds, your Man Cities are going to do that. Clubs who have better resources than us and have higher ambition at this point in time. This contradiction is just getting a bit too much for me, you guys. But you know what? I'm just here to keep things real. You guys know me. I'm just going to keep things real. I don't like pandering. I don't like pandering. I don't like playing things safe because, it's going to give me easy revenue. Listen, if you like what I have to say, you like it. If you don't, hey, respect to you. Free world, free opinions. Everything's subjective. You're entitled, my friend. But anyway, you guys, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up. Keep things moving. Thank you for watching. I'm in the FC. This is Blue Line CV, signing out.